Okay, so a whole swirl of thoughts here going on about morality and about dogs and sociality and about genetics. And I guess what I want to do is see if I can't lay out some, some basic orientations toward how the human dog relationship exemplifies a kind of culture of morality. And I think it's something that is felt, and it's a kind of evolved sensibility toward otherness. And I want to see if I can address that a little bit. Now, I think the first thing to say is, there was a time when Valerie and I didn't have a dog, and we'd walk around the neighborhood, and it was just even when we moved in. Now we love our neighbors, the little neighbor kid. He's great. He mows our lawn. He was a great little kid. But when we moved in, we're unloading the truck, and he says, "Do you have any children?" I think he was looking for someone to play with, and we went, "No, no, we don't have any kids." And he says, "Do you have a pet?" And we went, "No, no, we have plants." And he went, "Oh," and he sort of bounced his basketball, and he didn't really know what to say to that. But that sensibility of do you have pets or not, I think is interesting, right? The more that we walked around the neighborhood, it's not that there weren't neighbors who didn't, like us, but there's a sense in which we're both professors, but I think there's a fear in which you get tagged as overly intellectual. Okay, so and like, let me see if I can give this example where we're told not to talk about politics, not to talk about religion, and I think it's partly because when that happens, like in polite society, it immediately turns to, well, you're a Republican and I'm a Democrat, and well, you believe in this kind of religion and I believe in that, or I'm an atheist and you're this, and disagreements happen. But the relationship that you have with your dog isn't in those kinds of abstract beliefs. Okay, and so if you walk around and you don't have a dog, people suspect you of being overly intellectual and of being unable to just relate to people on a feeling kind of level. Whereas if you have a dog, right, so suddenly we get a dog. Now people, they'll say, "Oh, look at a cute dog, you love it." And then they open up to you as a person, almost as if they see that you're open to a kind of feeling relation to the other that isn't just based in beliefs or arguments and proved, I don't know, demonstrated reasonable positions and this kind of stuff. I mean, I think what's so interesting about this is that there seems to be, I guess, a kind of feeling that we share with our dogs, with our pets. You feel a kind of relationship, and there's a relationship of morality that's embedded, you might say, kind of phenomenologically with the dog. That is, your mode of interaction with the dog, it expresses your evaluation for the dog in the concrete way that you actually interact with it. So, I mean, there's certain kinds of petting that are pleasurable to the dog, and it experiences as some kind of praise, or it's a positive reinforcement for the dog. There's other times where you punish the dog, and it's in both the sound of your voice or the actual, the manner that you sort of hold yourself. There's so many different ways that the dog interprets as a scold, and it's really, again, it's sort of concretely at that level of experienced interaction. It's right there in the experience, in the materiality of the communicative display. Now, I think, again, what's sort of interesting is that historically, what we do is we say, uh, there's this, nature has a morality, and it's nasty, Brutus, and short, right? This is this Hobbesian thing. And people make it seem as if animals have a kind of morality that is just a beastly cruelty of dominance and survival of the fittest, and all of these kinds of, classic metaphors that we all are familiar with. But I think if we start to move toward the evolution of morality, and now when I talk about the evolution of morality, here's some of the things that's so interesting about the dog relationship and pets maybe in general, but dogs in particular. is that dogs aren't that genetically similar to us in a way that, say, higher primates are. I mean, there's lots of higher primates. Orangutans are, they're fairly close to us. I don't know what it is, 14 million, as opposed to whatever it is, the 6 million that are chimpanzees. But as you move through these, what's fascinating is the range of egocentricity. Now, again, I think orangutans, they don't really have a sense of social recognition of the other and a concern for others' views in the world, or some sort of participative anticipation of another's interaction in a way that, say, chimpanzees do a little bit. But chimpanzees don't to the extent that dogs do. That is, dogs display a greater range of those kinds of communicative phenomena that we associate with humanity than do higher primates, even though higher primates are much more genetically similar to us than are the dogs. Now, to say that the dogs are more part of human culture, that they're around humans, they get exposed to human commands, and there is a fact of that dogs are raised in a human environment and they're exposed to that. But it's so much more than that. The dogs have been genetically bred for those characteristics. So it's not that it's not a genetic argument. See, I mean, I think there is an issue of genetic selection going on, in the sense that the dogs can be bred and selectively bred for those characteristics that I guess resonate with those human communication capacities. Again, intention, display, affection, sociality. I know that some Australian shepherds, for example, can do incredible object recognition and sort of counting sort of capacities that are quite fascinating, right? They can have their abstraction capacities. They can identify objects that are similar and then go fetch one. Um, it's, I guess what I'm trying to get at here is that, again, there's a whole nebulous set of relations, but it's that I think what we're seeing here in the domestication of animals is a kind of emergence of a morality of care that's based in feeling, that's no longer as suspect as the kind of irrational feeling-based ethics that preceded the Age of Enlightenment and the Age of Reason. Now, historically, people thought passions were dangerous and feelings and emotions were dangerous, and it took an amazing amount of literacy and technical prowess, advances in mathematics, and I guess just civilization per se, enabled people to become, I guess, more and more reasonable. That is, less superstitious, less trapped in religious dogmas and kind of fantasies, fueled, I guess, by everything from, I don't know, all the kinds of misinformation that was around before we had today's modern scientific worldview. I think the thing that is interesting, though, is that in today's world, in the modern scientific worldview, in the post-Copernicus worldview, in the world where, and we live in a post-morphine world, it is a world that no longer tolerates torture because pain has been quelled. In this world, it really does seem that we do have a new kind of morality, or morality that has been preceded, a morality of feeling that's been preceded by the Age of Reason. It's no longer a kind of passion and a nasty, brutish, short, selfish feelings that needed to grow reasonable. It's now we're in the wake of the reasonableness. And I think the relations that people have with their pets are a fascinating display of, I guess, the degree to which it is a kind of cultural phenomena, right? There are various different cultural phenomena that are happening. That is the act of teaching dogs how to interact in the human world. There's all of that, but which may have epigenetic phenomena there. I think there's lots of evidence that there are different kind of epigenetic phenomena there, where environmental impact is stimulating and activating certain genes, and then from there, there's certainly lots of selective breeding that is going on. That the dogs are being bred in a certain way, but it's the relationship that people are having with their dogs and the possibility of care for another that isn't based in any beliefs at all. I think the more that we can recognize our our feelings of care, of love, and concern for an inarticulate other, for an other who's unable to speak for him or herself, an other who you feel the relationship with them, and you have feelings for them, and you can feel the feelings that they have, both for you and for uh, other people in the world, other dogs, other aspects of the world. And I think there is a kind of morality that gets implied from that feeling. It's a kind of concern. I wonder the degree to which that morality could be moved over into the human realm. Now, the neighborly thing really is, I think, very related to this. That neighbors who see you with a dog see the possibility that you're able to relate to another in a level of feeling and concern rather than intellectual detached beliefs and about agreements or disagreements in abstract systems, things like this. I guess I'm wondering, and I would like to hear what other people think here, about the extent to which morality itself is evolving, and if it's not that people don't forever need to be civilized. I think we continuously need to civilize ourselves, that we continuously need to grow in our moral stature through self-discipline, through cultural practices. I don't think it's something that's just falls upon us. I don't think that you can evolve morality. Now, there may be a way that you could probably try to do human morality through selective breeding. I don't think that's what we're after, though. I think we are after that maybe that fine line question of, is there now a new realm of an ethics-based a feeling, I guess, how do I say it, that some sort of morality or an ethics based in feeling that is so grounded in the scientific worldview or so grounded in the age of reason or the capacity to think that it needs to recover that sense. Okay, well, those are some thoughts. Thanks.